Hello everyone. Welcome back to another episode of our JustNoMil. In today's episode, the time IMIL left me in her apartment and ran when the fire alarm went off while knowing I wouldn't be able to hear it. MIL scrapes icing off my remaining wedding cake. I get my revenge. Step-in-law mother won't be invited to father-in-law first grandchild's baby shower. Before we get started, make sure to subscribe so you will never miss a video. So let's get started. The time IMIL left me in her apartment and ran when the fire alarm went off while knowing I wouldn't be able to hear it. So one day, a few months back, I was visiting my MIL at her apartment. I was helping her sort through some stuff. Important, I'm deaf. I was sitting on the couch, sorting through the things, and she was in the kitchen making tea. After about 15 minutes, I got up and went into the kitchen to see if she needed help since she hadn't come back and she wasn't there. She wasn't in the apartment at all. I assumed she needed to step outside for a while. She eventually came back. I asked her if everything was all right. She says, the fire alarm went off and I ran. I was halfway down the stairs when I realized today is the fire drill and that there isn't an actual fire. She's laughing and I'm sitting there feeling really awkward. I didn't want to cause a scene, so I excused myself and left. Where I live, it isn't really a drill per se. I don't know how to word it better in English. Here, buildings have to set the fire alarms off periodically for reasons I don't really understand. Something inspection, fire department, part of the law. Before they do it, the management sends out letters and emails a week or two before and the day before with the date and time to the residents to let them know it's planned, not to panic and to stay in their apartments when it happens. When I told my husband, he wasn't happy. He calls his mom and they argue for a while. MIL's argument: there was no fire, so I was completely safe. DH's argument: MIL thought it was an actual fire, otherwise she wouldn't have ran, which meant that she left me in there knowing that I wouldn't have heard the alarm and what she presumed was an actual fire. He hasn't really communicated with her after this happened, and she refuses to admit she did anything wrong since no fire, no actual emergency in her words. His family is staying out of it, but my MIL has been sending texts about how starved for his attention she is now. I know he will continue to keep his distance from his mom, so I'm wondering whether I should just let it go. Keeping him from his mom because of what might have happened in another situation doesn't sit well with me, but at the same time thinking about what might have happened if that was an actual fire scares me. She would have let you die. I think we should have minimum standards for relationships, and one of them should definitely be, I deserve better than would let me die in a fire. Like, you should have just a little more kindness and respect present in a relationship. A little more. Agreed. Especially considering that is such a horrific and violent way to die. If she had come back and profusely apologized saying she panicked and came back for you, there would be something to salvage here. But she didn't. She's selfish and I don't blame you if you don't want to deal with her anymore. I'm glad your husband understands how serious this is. I hope and believe I could never act in such a selfish and cowardly way. But if I did, I'd crawl to you on my knees to apologize. She left you to die. Your MIL has shown you who she is. Believe her. I could see hearing an alarm and panicking, but then when I realized I left my deaf-in-law there to die, I would have run back. She neither did this, nor showed any remorse whatsoever. This is sick behavior. Say your husband had been there and fell asleep. Do you think she would have been in such a panic and forgotten him? I'm just saying, there's in no way you just forget you have a house guest at a time like that. MIL scrapes icing off my remaining wedding cake. I get my revenge. For context, we were living with MIL before and after the wedding until we could find ourselves a house. The story. Me, 30, and my husband, 40, got married a couple years ago. One of my requests for our wedding cake was to have a tier that was red velvet, as it was my favorite. My husband agreed, and we decided to do the bottom tier red velvet with cream cheese frosting. Now, after all the celebrations, the remaining portions of red velvet cake was put into containers, like large containers. We headed back to the hotel, and let's just say, we had a great night. We unpack and put things away, and I decided I would have a piece of cake. I walk into the kitchen and Emil's back is to me, and from what it looks like she is cutting something. By the time I round the counter, I see what she is doing. She is scrapping all the frosting off the huge leftover red velvet cake. Not on her own piece. No. The entire cake. It's like half of a bottom tier's worth of frosting. I was livid. I asked her what she thought she was doing, and she said, "The frosting is too sweet." My father was sitting at the kitchen table watching all this, and he said he was concerned I would commit murder. He said if looks could have killed Emil would have dropped dead on the spot. My husband walked in and saw what she was doing and asked her to stop. It wasn't her cake, and she told him the same thing she told me. He asked her, "Where in your tiny mind did you think this was okay?" He apologized to me and said he would deal with her. But I knew right then and there that I was out for blood now. The gloves are off. I am a very patient person. If I need to wait a year, 2 or 20 years, I will get my revenge. I forget nothing. 1 year later, Emil was making a cake, can't remember what for, but she has spent a day decorating and making it all nice. She asked me what I thought, and I said it looked nice. This was it. My plan is unfolding perfectly. My revenge will finally be complete. I have waited patiently for this exact moment. My husband walks into the kitchen and his eyes meet mine and I give him the nod. He gives me the nod. I then proceeded to scrape all the frosting off the cake she had spent all day decorating. She turns around and gives me a horrifying look, and I asked her, "How does it feel?" I walked away with her harpy-like scream that could be heard from here to Valhalla. Me and hubby walk to the car, and he gives me a high five when we get in the car. Now, I know some will call me an a-hole. That's okay. I know I am, and I don't really care. I get that from my dad. You can thank him. I have so many other stories about her. I felt like she needed a taste of her own medicine. Life is much easier once you flush the contents of your jar of FS down the toilet. People learn their place a whole lot faster. Indeed. My hubby and I are cackling, thank you. I absolutely love this. What I learned a long time ago is that people cannot take what they give. And you know, if it was me, I would do this again, a few times or every time there was a frosted cake, but especially a decorated cake. I cracked up. You're amazing. Can I ask what the fallout was like? Hope she learned to stop messing with you. The fallout was one of epic proportions. She has indeed learned not to mess with me again. My fave part about this is that your husband supported you. Step-in-law mother won't be invited to father-in-law first grandchild's baby shower. Hello. My husband's mother died almost 11 years ago, and my father-in-law remarried almost immediately when my husband was 20 and his sister was 15. JustNoMil has been very vocal about her dislike of husband's late mother's family and her parenting style. FIL went along with it as evangelical Christian wanting to leave and cleave to his new wife. After a few years of this, all my husband's family, aunts, uncles, cousins, all husband's siblings and their spouses, has gone low contact with Phil and JustNoMil now for multiple years. Our last prolonged interaction was an hour of being yelled at with a Christian counselor mediating. JustNoMil has repeatedly yelled, us she will cut us off like unbelievers Matthew 18 verses 15 to 20. She did unfriend me on social media, but somehow, I need to do the work. I've been very honest, probably too honest, that I hate the weaponized therapy speak and the weaponized Bible verses taken out of context. After all of this, SMIL is expecting to be invited to baby showers, wants to plan a Christmas get-together with just us, and wants to be a grandma. My husband has already plainly said, "You've never been mom, you aren't a grandma." We won't be inviting her to our baby shower because I don't want someone there who a year ago was final cutting me out of her life. When do JustNoMil accept defeat and move on? You're absolutely right to do that, but please take it a step further and don't allow her in your child's life at all. No Christmas, no birthdays, no dinners, no nothing. This type of behavior doesn't disappear once a child is involved, it intensifies. She'll not only bombard your child with her religious wathaviu. I'm sorry, I don't know what your faith is, Opie, and I know the majority of people consider themselves somewhat religious, but it sounds to me like she's in full-on religious psychosis. And she'll also weaponize it to your child eventually, just like she's doing to you. I had a step-grandma that was just like this. It was traumatizing. She was for all intents and purposes my granny. I never thought of her as anything different, but once I grew up a little bit and started acting like a normal teenage, and worse, an adult with my own morals and ideals, she completely turned on me, and in a big way. Think forced religious interventions with as much family as she could rouse against me to tell me how awful I was, and that I was making horrible decisions. The decisions? I was 18 and would be going to a baseball game in a week or so with some friends. Or when I started dating a guy and hadn't brought him to meet the entire family within a few weeks, they told me I was going to end up a drug-addicted stripper. These scenarios are not far off from what your baby will experience if this woman is allowed to stay in your/their life. You don't even like me. What makes you think you're going to adore my mini-me? Thank you. I've been so scared of voicing that out loud because she loves FIL but treats his children like trash. Why would she not do the same to their children? When you cut her out of your life. And be sure to be prepared for her unexpected arrival at things that you don't want her to attend, such as your baby shower, the birth of your baby, as well as birthday parties, holidays, etc., etc. Have a plan in place and good luck. Thank you. I don't understand the obsession with babies of people you apparently were fine with not having in your life. Is there a psychological thing I am missing? I know this story. I lived it. My dad married a malignant narcissist and stayed, all because of the guy in the pointy hat. Pope said he must. Keep Elo away from step monster. File made his choice. You and DH make yours. Hurt like hell to see him change as a person in order to placate that evil woman, but NFW were my children alone with her nasty self. If you made it to the end of the video, thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share, and we will see you in the next video.